Welcome to part 7 of the narcissism analysis on Zanab Jaffrey's from Love is Blind. It's the day of the wedding, and after a small panic, Zanab has walked down the aisle to her partner, Cole.
Hi. Thank you.
You look like a virgin, by the way.
The marriage officiant talks about love for a while and holds a moment of silence for those who have passed away. While the officiant's talking, Zanab and Cole are making eye contact, holding hands, and smiling at each other a lot. Then it's Zanab's turn to speak.
If it's okay, I would like to start with a prayer, because that's what Cole and I bonded over. Dear Heavenly Father, I would just like to thank you for this day, for this moment, for every single person in this room, and for all the love and support that Cole and I have received. I thank you for this man. I thank you that he knows you and loves you and follows you, and I just am so thankful I was given the opportunity to know him and love him. And I ask this all in your son's name. Amen.
Narcissists can use virtually anything to manipulate people. Sex, money, a position of authority, humor, good looks, and many others. Religion is a wonderful tool for narcissists. It allows them to achieve lots of different goals. Zanab achieves two main things from carrying out this prayer. Firstly, being a mid-range narcissist, she needs to project the facade of appearing like a good, kind person. Many people associate being religious with being empathic and virtuous, so by starting her speech with a prayer and focusing on giving thanks for everyone being there, for Cole, and for the opportunity to know and love him, Zanab makes herself seem like a caring, selfless, supportive person. She also says that Cole and her bonded over religion, again using religion to make herself seem like a virtuous person. However, as we've seen in earlier parts and will see again today, this is just the facade of being a nice person. Her actual behaviour doesn't line up with the image she's portraying. Secondly, she gets to benignly control the entire room of people. She's flattering them by thanking God for every single person in the room being there, and for all the love and support they've given. And of course, she gets the whole room to bow their heads and pray, hanging on her every word, and repeating Amen after her. You could argue that her prayer comes across as rather over the top, holier than thou and grandiose thing to do, especially in some of the wording, such as when she prays for this moment, for every single person in this room.
Cole Brennan Barnett. I fell in love with you because of how warm you made me feel and how much hope I had when I talked to you. I fell in love with you because of the way you talk about your relationship with God and about how you talk about your friends and your family.
A potential partner being close to and talking highly of their friends and family would be attractive to a narcissist because it's an indicator that they're empathetic and have a sense of decency. Narcissists subconsciously look for empathic people because they're easier to control, provide good quality emotional fuel, and will take care of the narcissist.
You are not a hard man to fall in love with, and I did completely fall in love with you, sight unseen. And because of that, I believe that love is blind because of you.
If you're counting, Zanab has said she loves Cole 5 times by this point.
You made me laugh like crazy without me even knowing how hot you were and how funny you were in real life. I thought you were reading off of some script that someone had given you that told them everything that I wanted to hear. It was incredible.
This is a red flag. When they're describing the start of the relationship, you'll often hear partners of narcissists say things like, "They really understood me like no one else ever has. They liked and disliked the same things as me. They had the same values as me. They understood my fears and insecurities." Or in Cole's case, it was like she was reading off a script that someone had given her, which told her everything he wanted to hear. So why do so many partners of narcissists experience this? When a narcissist identifies you as a romantic target, they need to get control over you as quickly as possible. And one of the ways they do this is through something known as mirroring. Everything about you is mirrored back at you by the narcissist, which makes you think that you've met your soulmate, because everything about you is so compatible. But really, it's because the narcissist is a chameleon, simply becoming whoever they need to be in order to win you over. By mirroring you, it's almost as if they're making you fall in love with yourself. Of course, the illusion starts to fade as you enter devaluation, and the true horror of what you're really with starts to reveal itself.
Like, there was no doubt in my mind that I wanted to marry you, and I fell in love with you. You're amazing. I love you.
I love you.
The efficient talks for a while, then asks Zanab if she takes Cole to be her husband.
Cole, you have taught me so much about myself in the last 2 months, and you have shared so much of who you are, and I am so thankful for that. I think I have a really good idea about the type of woman that's gonna love you the way that Cole needs to be loved every day for the rest of your life. And I think you and I both know that that is not me.
This would have been a great place for Zanab to end her speech. I think people would have respected her for taking the high ground, and rather than blaming anybody else, acknowledging that the relationship just wasn't a good fit for her and Cole. Instead, what she did next started to turn the tide of public opinion firmly against her. It's a fantastic example of how certain narcissists mess up because they fail to anticipate how other people will view their actions. So why are certain narcissists prone to doing this? Because narcissists don't have emotional empathy, they don't feel how their actions will be perceived by others. They have to think about it using cognitive empathy instead. And many narcissists have a poor ability to do this, which means that they act in socially inappropriate ways that can have other people shaking their heads and cringing. For example, oversharing, being overly flirty, or making inappropriate comments. An example of this is Rocky Dakota from Below Deck, who I did my first ever video on. On the other hand, there are high-functioning narcissists that are excellent at blending in socially, and rarely make these blunders. Zanab is somewhere in the middle. She often manages to fit in with others, but there are reasonably frequent moments where her mask slips. The rest of the speech you're about to see shows a failure in Zanab's cognitive empathy, essentially her ability to read the room.
As much as I have wanted it to be me, and have tried to manipulate myself to be that person for you, the last 2 months have not been like picture perfect.
This is a pity play, trying to elicit sympathy from the audience, and it's false martyrdom. Zanab's trying to make it seem like she really tried to change herself to fit in with what Cole wanted in a woman. However, we know that in reality, Zanab did the complete opposite of this. Every time Cole tried to bring up her behaviour, she shut him down and manipulated him, point blank refusing to even consider changing, as we saw in parts 4 and 5. So she's revising history to manipulate. And she's projecting, because in reality, she herself is the one who demanded changes from Cole. She even commented on how happy she was that Cole had made massive changes in part 6. We start to see Zanab's fury ignite, which is her narcissism's way of driving her to assert control. Unlike Zanab, a high-functioning narcissist would be able to keep this fury hidden from view.
You have disrespected me, you have insulted me, you have critiqued me.
If you've seen the earlier parts, you'll know that it was Zanab herself who was relentlessly criticizing Cole. She's projecting again, accusing Cole of doing the very things that she has been doing to him. Remember, being an unaware narcissist, Zanab has rewritten history in her mind, and she genuinely believes that she's the victim and Cole is the abuser. This shows her victim mentality and lack of awareness, caused by her narcissism. It also shows her lack of accountability. Not being the right type of woman for Cole cannot be her fault. Her narcissism must reject this and blame Cole instead.
And for what it is worth, you have single-handedly shattered my self-confidence. And I hate that you have had that kind of effect on me.
For all intents and purposes, Zanab is publicly accusing Cole of emotionally abusing her. This accusation not only asserts control over Cole by devaluing him and putting him in his place, but it's a pity play to gain sympathy and thus control from the audience, both at the wedding and watching the show. Notice how dramatic Zanab's statement is. "You have single-handedly shattered my self-confidence." It sounds more like a line from a movie than something somebody would actually say in real life. It's the exaggerated, grandiose statement of a narcissist. Zanab's also showing the compartmentalized nature of narcissism. A few minutes ago, she was so thankful to be given the opportunity to know and love Cole, and now he has single-handedly shattered her self-confidence. It doesn't make sense that Zanab would be thankful to have met somebody who did that to her. Surely she would rue the day she met him. But as I've said before, unaware narcissists assert control in the moment, which means that they can contradict themselves from one minute to the next without seeing a problem. In the first moment, Zanab was acting like a good Christian and being nice about Cole in order to make herself look kind and virtuous. Control achieved. In the next moment, she's an abuse victim in order to gain sympathy. Control achieved. Narcissists are bundles of contradictions like this. Through our perspective, it doesn't make sense and contradicts itself. But through the narcissistic perspective, there isn't a problem.
And the messed up thing is that I know I love you. I know I love you, but everything in me and the logical part of my brain tells me that love shouldn't feel this way. Love shouldn't hurt like this. I can't marry you, and I don't.
For the 8th time, Zanab says she loves Cole. Loving somebody means caring about them. It means supporting them and accepting them. It means not wanting to hurt them. The problem is that these things all require emotional empathy, which narcissists don't have. Zanab was stood at the altar, holding Cole's hand, smiling into his eyes, and telling him that she loved him, presumably knowing full well that she was about to potentially destroy his life by painting him as an abuser in front of millions of people with a rehearsed speech. Does that sound like love? Does it sound like somebody who has a sense of guilt or a conscience? Narcissists feel an extreme infatuation which they think is love. And of course, they can act as if they care about others in some situations, if that's what is required to manipulate them. However, it's not genuine care. You only have to look at how a narcissist behaves when they disengage from their partner to see their lack of empathy in action. All the supposed love from a decades-long relationship evaporates as their partner is devalued, painted as an abuser, and callously tossed aside.
You are a good man, and I know that. I know that about you. And I wish I could have had more of that. I really do.
More compartmentalization. Cole, the man who disrespected, insulted, critiqued, and single-handedly shattered her self-confidence, is actually a good man? But if he's a good man, why did she just try to destroy his life? It doesn't make sense. Again, it's just Zanab's narcissism asserting control in the moment without it mattering that it contradicts her earlier statements. She uses a benign manipulation to assert control over Cole and to make herself appear like a good, forgiving person. By the time a narcissist disengages from their partner, the partner will have been smeared. It's very likely that Zanab will have been smearing Cole to her friends, as we saw in part 6. She will have told them all the worst things Cole has done without any context, probably with a lot of embellishment. Her friends will genuinely believe that Zanab's a victim and Cole is an abuser, which is why they're applauding her speech. Being smeared makes things even harder for the narcissist's partner. Not only have they been abused and then callously thrown away, a lot of people will actually believe that they are the abuser. The narcissist got in there first. So when the partner tries to protest their innocence, they're fighting an uphill battle. Luckily for Cole, in this case, he hasn't been with Zanab for long enough for her to infiltrate his friends and family and start turning them against him as well.
I really didn't want to be ugly, but he also had to be freaking told some things.
Wait,
I hope he doesn't do this to another woman, because it's not fair.
Zanab's using false martyrdom to try and appear like a good, selfless person, and also to reject accountability. It's not her fault she just destroyed Cole. She didn't want to do it, but she needed to do it in order to stop him from hurting another woman. The problem is, what Zanab just did is not the way that a good person would go about doing it, and the fact that she can't see this shows her lack of empathy.
Why has she never said that to my face? And she chose now because she knew it would hurt more in front of all of my friends and family.
Narcissists need fuel, which is the emotional reaction of others to things they've said or done. This can either be positive fuel, for example somebody smiling and thanking the narcissist for holding a door open for them, or it can be negative fuel, for example a waiter looking upset after the narcissist talks down to them. Either way, it subconsciously makes the narcissist feel powerful because it shows that they have the ability to control someone else's emotions. Eviscerating Cole in front of his loved ones and seeing the pain, confusion and tears in his eyes would give Zanab an enormous amount of fuel. To have the ability to cause a reaction like that in somebody shows how powerful she is and how much control she has over them. Add to that all the highly emotional sympathy and support she'll get from her friends and family, and you can begin to understand why doing this was so tempting for Zanab. As to Cole's point on why she didn't bring this up with him before, well, why would she? That would have achieved far less fuel than doing it this way. Things like it being the fair and right thing to do don't factor into her equation. She's a narcissist. She feels entitled to behave in any way she wants, with no accountability for her actions and no empathy to hold her back. Bear in mind that throughout their entire time together, Zanab repeatedly told Cole that if he decided he didn't want to be with her, he needed to tell her. Like all narcissists, Zanab's a hypocrite and did the exact opposite of this herself. Let's remind ourselves of some of the things she said.
I will be patient as long as there's something to be patient for. I just hope that you respect me enough to tell me when there's not anymore.
And if it's something that is not gonna work, then we make that decision that that's not what we're gonna do anymore.
Okay.
Those are my expectations for someone that like I would love and respect. If it comes to a moment where I know I'm not gonna marry you, I will let you know. You just have to pick the person that you're happy to do hard work with. And if that is not me for you, then that is what you need to figure out and let me know.
We return to the aftermath of the wedding.
I'm so sorry. Good luck. I promise you I never try to hurt you. I know. You're okay. You're okay.
I never tried to hurt you.
You're okay. All right?
It's always interesting to watch the reaction of family members. A narcissist often keeps the worst of their behaviour hidden from people like their friends, colleagues and neighbours. However, their family has had decades of experience with them, often seeing many examples of the narcissist creating drama, lying, smearing, switching between idealizing and devaluing people, treating their partners badly, and many more. The family generally won't know that they're dealing with a narcissist, but instead will recognize that they tend to do things that are overdramatic and exaggerate things. If a non-narcissist gave the speech Zanab just did, in the vast majority of cases, their family would rush to their aid, probably wanting to report the groom to the police, and certainly wanting nothing to do with him. On the other hand, if a narcissist gave that speech, their family might almost think, "Oh no, here we go again," because they've seen them do this kind of thing before. In this case, we see Zanab's stepmother, somebody that's been in her life since she was 8 and essentially acts as her family now, go over and comfort Cole with what appears to be a very genuine display of sympathy before going to see Zanab. This is quite revealing as to how legitimately she views Zanab's accusations. Finally, we see Zanab talking to her stepmother. I've skipped to the most interesting part.
I did try to lead it. Just how thankful I am for meeting him, you know?
Okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
I don't want the guy to hate me, but I couldn't marry him.
It's okay.
I know it was the right call. It just still doesn't change that it just really hurts.
This is a pity play to gain sympathy. Zanab is so self-obsessed that all she can think about is her own supposed pain. There's no remorse or comprehension that what Cole's going through might be worse. The only thought she has for Cole is how he's going to view her. Again, self-obsession. Thank you for listening. This wraps up part 7 of the analysis. Please subscribe to my channel for future parts, including part 8, the reunion.